What would you do if evil terrorists killed your loved one right in front of you on national TV? Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinelli. This is Mars here, and today is another Love It or Skip It. We're going to be talking about The Amateur, which I just finished watching. This is definitely not your usual spy movie. The main actor of this movie is Rami Malek. You probably see him in other shows around, but in this type, he is a CIA cryptographer who works in the basement, or basically the sub basement of the CIA. He is a very methodical person. He's pretty bland throughout the character, but when things happen that change everything around him, he goes buck wild. So what causes him to change is that his wife is murdered while she's on a trip to London. It was a terrorist attack. They grabbed her hostage, and they basically, while they were using her as a hostage to get away from the police, they put a gun to her head and ended up killing her to show the police, hey, to lay off. Charlie does not like this, and of course, typical. First of all, he came into work not even realizing that had happened because he doesn't really watch the news, and so they tell him, "Hey, you need to go chill out." But what ends up happening is that he, instead of just being afraid or whatever, he does the opposite. He's like, "I'm gonna find these guys and figure out who it is," and he does. Within a matter of hours, he figures out who the killers are and what they were doing. He gives it over to the agency and say, "Hey, here's the information." But guess what? The agency already knew. So he's like, "All right, are you guys going to go after these guys?" And they're like, "No, we want to roll up this whole network." He said, "But I want my wife's killers found." And they're like, "Nah." So he basically says, hey, he blackmails them into making him get training as an operative because he's going to go after his own wife. He steals some very damning information that's sent to him regarding some unsanctioned killings that the U.S. had done, and of course under the auspices of the current chief of the CIA. He not the director who's over him, who's the political appointment, but the chief who's actually been there a long time. So they decided to give him what he wanted. He gets trained by Laurence Fishburne, who basically he's like, "Yo, bro, you can't shoot straight." You know what I'm trying to say? Not even at close range, but what Charlie basically tells him is "Yo, you got to look at the things that I can do well. I can't shoot. Yes, that may not be my strength, but I can build bombs. I can hack systems. I can, definitely outthink my opponents, and that's what I'm going to have to do." So one of the best things that we see him taking out one of the terrorists is when he uses pollen, to basically try and kill one of the terrorists, but unfortunately, that kind of backfires because this is his first kill, and as he sees that the pollen's actually working, as opposed to just waiting for them to give him the information, he didn't want them to die. Unfortunately, they are dying, and he opens the door, and they're able to get out. He's not able to actually kill them directly, but they run into the street and end up dying in their car. But hey, that's what happens, bro. Another one, probably the best, most spectacular one you've probably seen in all the trailers, is when he blows up or compresses the air in a particular a pool that's about 15 stories high, 12 to 15 stories high, and he ends up killing someone. So, he's using his brains as opposed to going there and shooting people, like what a typical Jason Bourne would do, or Jason Statham would do. He is definitely not he's a thinking man, and he comes off pretty bland, yeah, but you know what? When you see him, you don't expect anything of him, but when he does what he does, that's it. And that's best spycraft. Someone who you do not expect to do something actually does it.